Applying to colleges and universities should be an exciting time, but it's also hard to keep track of all of your application materials and the deadlines by which you have to apply. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about what a deadline is and how you can best approach it. So, when you're looking at colleges and universities, every institution will have a deadline, and this is the last date to which you can apply to this university or college. So it's important that when you think you might want to apply to an institution, that you check their website. You see when their deadlines are. Because typically, there's not only one deadline, and you have to understand what the different deadlines are. So for most universities, they have a regular application deadline. And this is just kind of the vanilla ice cream of decisions. So the majority of applicants are going to choose this regular decision. Typically this falls in January. But again, it could be January 5th or it could be January 15th. So you have to go on the website of each college and really make sure that you understand when the deadline is. I suggest that you make a spreadsheet, maybe on Excel, where you put down all of the application deadlines in chronological order, so the date by which they're occurring. And this will give you the opportunity to really understand when everything is due. Because when we think about deadlines, we're not just thinking the common application or a paper application, it's also your letter of recommendation, your transcript, your test scores. Many schools require all of this to be submitted together. So it's important that you know when everything must be due by. So the regular decision, that's really just when most universities have the majority of applicants, and it's kind of just the regular time that you would choose to apply to a university. Recently, universities and colleges are starting to be a little bit more flexible in their deadlines. So you might see something called rolling admissions. Rolling admissions gives you a time frame. It's not one single date. So for instance, it might be from September until, let's say, March. You can apply any time within that time frame. Sounds great, right? It is, but there's a few disadvantages to going about the application this way. First and foremost, you don't ever want to wait until the last possible day to apply. So if you're given the option to apply from September till March, try to apply as soon as you can and get that application in. If you do miss the application deadline, whether it's rolling or regular, schools typically don't like to give you a second chance. They don't really want to work with you after that deadline. You can ask, but there's no guarantee that they're going to still accept any submissions you might want to make. So it's vital that you understand, especially when looking at rolling deadlines, that you have a large period to apply to the university. And the earlier, the better. Especially because with rolling deadlines, universities are accepting applicants as they apply. So if you wait until the very end of the application deadline, you might not have as good of a chance of getting in. And even if you do get accepted, you might not be offered the same level of financial aid that you would be otherwise. So when you're looking at even a rolling application, don't take that to mean that you can apply at the very end of the application cycle. Look for something called a priority deadline. This is what most schools call the deadline that you need to apply to receive financial aid. So again, it's great to get accepted into a university, but are you going to receive the funding that you need to attend? Another option that we've seen becoming increasingly popular is what you might deem early application deadlines. So for these, we have two different options. The first is early action. Now early action is great because it offers you a time to get your application in early without really any drawbacks. So it's just a deadline that's usually in the fall, typically November, and if you apply by this deadline, you receive your acceptance early as well. So typically before Christmas. So you'll get it within a month. And that's great because that can take some of the stress off the application process. It's non-binding, early action, so you can apply to as many schools as you like. There are a few distinct institutions which are going to put some limitations on early action. For example, many of the Ivy Leagues, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and whatnot, will encourage you or require you to only apply to one of their institutions' early action. So again, this is why your research online is so vital to understanding when deadlines are and what they mean. Now, early decision is your other option, And unlike early action, early decision is binding. That means if you are accepted, you are expected to matriculate. You're expected to go to that university. So you can apply to more than one university through early decision. So it's important that you consider, is this the perfect school for you? Will they offer me the financial aid that I need to attend? And will I be happy there for 4 years? If you can't answer that question with a yes, you shouldn't be looking at early decision. But early decision does offer you a few advantages. Typically, schools have a higher acceptance rate for early decision. So if you know it's the perfect fit, maybe early decision is a good choice for you. But again, it's important that you're looking at each institution individually, because every college and university has different deadlines. Some of them will overlap, but you want to make sure that you look at each school you're applying to. That way, you won't be caught off guard by any of the application deadlines. If you miss a deadline, reach out to the admissions counselor at the school that you're applying to. It's possible that they will accept a late submission, but unlikely. So it's important to realize when these are and really get a head start on your application. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help you throughout the application process. Good luck.